We're professionals with no R.
Professionals.
Uh huh. Uh huh.
Yeah, I'm one of those as well. Uh,
It was Texas, it was Tennessee. Welcome in, folks. You have arrived at the Texas to Tennessee podcast. Thanks for joining. My name's Steve. Up above is my friend Soul Gravy. It's his show, so be nice. And tonight we are very excited to have our friend Jonathan Pennington on. He has a band called Moonlight Mile, and we're going to get to know him a little bit. So welcome in, sir.
Thanks so much for having me on, y'all. I'm really happy to be here. I love podcasts anyway. I like to talk, so any excuse I get to open my mouth, I'm all in. So
That's fantastic.
Good
It's going to
deal.
work out better than expected. So.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, Jonathan, if you don't mind, just for maybe some of the folks that aren't super familiar with your work, could you just take a few minutes and give us a little bit of your backstory?
absolutely. So I've lived all over, so it's actually kind of long, but I'll try to keep it together. I grew up in a little small town, Sandy Hook, Kentucky. Lived there till I was about 21, and I was one of the early days of people that met their significant other online in a chat room, and met my wife. She's from Minnesota, and moved 1,000 miles away to Minnesota. Lived many years near Minneapolis and St. Paul. Got a few degrees up there, and was in some country. I was in a country band called the Dead Flowers, and we kind of like Ryan Adams sort of alt country stuff. And ended up, long story short, my wife and had been kind of involved in the church and this, that, and the other, and it looked like there was going to be an opportunity for us to get involved in the church in Kansas City. So from there, we ended up in Kansas City, and then from there, that took us to Nebraska. And long story short, my dad passed away in 2018, and we moved home. And I'd finished up. I have a master's degree in human service administration and a bachelor's in human relations, and it was go on and do more work, might get a doctorate or something like that, or come home. And when my dad passed, my mom needed the help, so we came back home and I was mulling over going back to school. I was like, I never have got an opportunity to pursue music at a more professional level. So I moved to this little town in Sandy Hook where I grew up, and the first I couldn't find. I was wanting to do like more of like a country rock sort of thing, which is kind of what we are now. But at the time, I couldn't find any of those musicians, so I found a guy that played dobro, and we became this bluegrass duo. And
Nice.
Moonlight Mile started about 2020 during the pandemic, and we started traveling at the kind of as things started to open up. We started playing shows then, and went from there.
Super cool. Well, I appreciate that. I actually lived in Kansas City for 13 years, so I got kids up close by there, and we enjoyed that area. So it's cool to hear all the places you've been.
Lived in Grandview, and my daughter was born in what is the name of that town in Kansas? It's right across the board. I can't remember the name of it, but that's awful. I don't even know the town.
Overland Park,
One of
Fleetwood
my
area.
child. Yeah, Overland Park. That's it. Yeah,
Okay,
right
yeah,
over
yeah,
there.
for sure. All
Yep.
right, cool. All right, small world.
Yep.
Um, well, Jonathan, we're going to ask you to bear with us for a second here. Soul Gravy and I like to play a game. Well, actually, I like to play the game. I'm not sure Soul Gravy likes it so
I
much, but
love it. Love it.
um, it's called Why Are They Famous? And you had mentioned that you're from a town called Sandy Hook,
Yep.
Kentucky, which is northeastern Kentucky, 2.5 hours from Cincinnati. Would that be about right?
Yep.
Okay.
Now, yeah.
Couple hour and a half, 2 hours to Lexington, hour from Huntington, West Virginia.
Yep.
So for
Close.
those into geography,
Yep.
that's your hometown. We have 5 people. Actually, I think only 2 are from your actual hometown, but we expanded the search today to include your county, which is Elliott
It's
County.
fair.
That's it.
All right, Soul Gravy, you're going to get one of these. Um,
Okay.
I'm gonna go ahead and predict it.
Okay.
All right. So first off, Minnie Atkins, Minnie.
No, I don't think I'm familiar.
It's okay. She's from I think it's Isonville. Is that right?
Yep.
She's from Isonville, which is in the county. She's a well-known, a really well-known wood carving artist. Like makes little animals and whatnot. I went down a little bit of a rabbit hole.
Okay.
But yeah,
Abe Partridge. If you guys know Abe Partridge, he's a huge fan of Minnie. He comes out and does stuff with her quite a bit, and always swings by to see Minnie when he comes through. So
yeah, it's super cool.
Yeah.
There's a whole world that I did not know very much about. I learned a little bit more this afternoon about it, so that was fun.
Okay.
All right, second one is Mary Elliott Flannery.
I don't think I'm familiar with her work either.
Okay, well,
I'm not either.
all right, well, here we go. So, Mary was born in Elliott County. She was the first woman elected to a state legislature south of the Mason-Dixon line.
I feel
Okay.
really bad. I feel really bad now. Being,
You shouldn't at all. All
that's
right,
awesome.
there's a chance you might get the fourth one. I don't think you're going to get the third one. This is
Are
Chuck.
you saying there's a chance?
Yeah, Chuck Parsons.
Chuck Parsons?
Uh-huh.
I think I'm thinking of the wrong person. So
You're thinking of the basketball player.
I'm thinking of the basketball player, and that
Chuck
would be
Parsons,
Pearson.
but close. Yeah.
Yeah.
Chuck Parsons is from Bruin. He's a pretty well-known race car driver.
Okay.
He ran in the. He was born there. I think he moved to California, but he ran in the 24 Hours of Le Mans, which is like one of the biggest races in the world, which is pretty cool. Over
I
in
got you.
France. Shout out to our French viewers. All right, Donald Glenn Rigsby.
Old Donald
Yeah.
Rigsby.
Good
No.
friend.
Oh,
What's
okay.
that?
Sorry.
He's a good friend of mine, Don. I love Don. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, do you want to tell us about him?
Yeah.
Don, sure. Don is a very established bluegrass guy. He's played with everybody under the sun. He's a really big deal, and he's a super sweet guy and talented mandolin player. Got a really nice high tenor. He's like, in my opinion, one of the best bluegrass tenors around. Check him out if you haven't heard any of his stuff. But I don't know who he's playing with right now. I think the last time it was Band of Rooks or something. He's all the time jumping for different
Okay.
bands. But
Yeah, here are some of the names you might be familiar with, Soul Gravy, that he's played
Okay.
with.
All right.
Vern Gosden, I think that's where he got his start playing in the road band there.
Got you.
And then Longview and Lonesome River Band.
Okay.
Yep.
I
yeah,
think he might have replaced Dan when he switched that to Miskey,
that sounds right.
switched out of that band. So
Got you.
anyway, yep, super impressive. Also, I think he plays a little bit of everything too.
He does.
Fiddle,
Yeah.
guitar, and anything with strings, right?
Yep.
Yep. All right, last one, Soul Gravy. I have a lot of faith in you on this one.
You can do it.
His name is Keith Whitley from Sandy Hook.
I think I'm familiar with him and the perm. So yes.
20% in bad. You've
Okay.
had better nights, but
I'm glad that there was just 5 questions in. So
yeah, for sure. So anyway, folks, that's some of the famous folks from in and around Sandy Hook, Kentucky. Shout out to all those folks.
I've actually seen that before. Now that you mentioned that, I've seen. I guess I've deep dived on Wiki or something on Keith Whitley. I've seen Sandy Hook before. I should have known that.
There we go. Well,
either
we're
way.
always learning. So, Jonathan, we're going to get to the real meat of the interview here, but first question is the weirdest one. They all get a little bit easier from here. So,
All right.
I'm going to give you a pie. It's a musical pie.
Okay.
And we're going to ask you to divide it up into 4 sections. So,
Okay.
the first section of the pie is the song creation or songwriting. Second piece of the pie is recording. Third piece is performing. And then the fourth piece is everything that goes into running your own music business.
Okay.
So I'm curious where, one, you spend most of your time in those kind of 4 sections. And then where do you naturally gravitate to? Which areas, maybe your wheelhouse?
So it would be different sizes depending on like what I feel like I'm best at and what I enjoy doing and what I actually spend my time doing.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about it. That's great.
Mm-hmm.
So as of now, actually getting into making Moonlight Mile, trying to push us and trying to do all those things and videos and all the things that you do along with that. That takes up a lot of the time. If I didn't have a job that was very make my own hours, it would be very hard to do this. I just have a good job and a good boss, and so I'm able to really work on Moonlight Mile while I'm doing everything else that I have to do. Um, I would say as far as a pie goes, I probably spend I'm gonna say half time doing that, just doing the thing with talking to this person and talking to that person. Um, Not even getting to the point of like playing, as you mentioned, performing. That's a smaller piece than it is trying to get all the pieces together to perform.
Right.
So getting band members to stick around, finding talking to the people from the venue, talking to managers. I went through a few different ones of those. I mean, it's it takes up way more time than anything else.
For
That
sure.
part.
That makes sense.
The performing, starting out, we performed like 2 nights, every Friday and Saturday night and Sunday if we could. We were playing every single weekend. That got us got our foot for one got our foot in the doors in a lot of places, but we don't. I probably play about 3 or 4 shows a month now. Is about what I play.
Okay.
Some of those are solo, and some of those are uh, full band. It just kind of depends. That's a so that's a probably for the last half, probably a pretty equal part to um, what was the performing, songwriting, what was the other one?
Recording.
Recording. That's a very small little window of time. So this entire album I recorded in 2 days, and I
Oh,
recorded
wow.
about 2 years ago. And going back to that big piece of pie I mentioned a minute ago, I could have released this like 2 years ago, but the way you release music now is you have to slowly drip it out here and slowly drip it out there, and there's no exact science to it, and every single month something changes. No, don't do it that way, do it this way. And because of technology and all the things that how we do music now, that it's been a lot longer than what I wanted it to be to get this album out. So recording wise, it took me like 2 days. I drove up to Muncie, Indiana. Tony Ray, who used to play with Dan Kaminsky's band, he's in the Dillards. He produced the whole thing. He's the one that did most of the other musicianship. I'm playing guitar, and Tim Crouch is doing the fiddle, but he did all the rest of it. And he took his time, and we put out singles as we could. So really, still a small portion of mine was the recording. The songwriting is what I is probably a little bit bigger than the other parts. Still not half, but like maybe like a quarter. Um, I write songs. I'm writing songs. That's what's so hard about releasing music so slowly is that I'm writing so much music. I'm writing 2 or 3 songs a week. I love to write songs. I love to have different ideas and that's just always how from somebody who struggled with their mental health, like songwriting is what's got me through. It's what's kept me here. It's what's given me a lot of what has kept me around, to be honest. And so what I would like to be doing is a lot more of that and actually releasing it, but we're in a time frame where you can't release it like that. So it's like I'm just packing up a lot of music, and at some point, what I like of it will go out, But that's my favorite part of it is the songwriting.
All right. Well, I'd like to dig in a little bit more on the songwriting if we
Sure,
could. It seems like everybody we talk to has a little bit of a unique approach to songwriting. So
sure.
is yours a very structured kind of thing, or is it more like, yeah, I'm inspired by the things around me and I'm going to talk into my phone and save for later? Or is there a lot of co-writing, or kind of what's yours look like?
I no co-writing whatsoever. I write
Okay.
it all myself. Everything's me. I do occasionally get a little like a blurb or like hum a thing into my phone, but most of it is just me sitting down with a guitar and it's live stuff. So for me personally, I know there's a lot of songwriters that can write, just make up a story and kind of write about a story, but I'm more of the type that I've had to live it because almost if it, when I sing it, I want it to feel, I want it to be genuine. Not to say that it wouldn't be genuine if you're singing a story that you made up, because those can be beautiful. I mean, take a song
Right.
like Elephant by Jason Isbell. I mean, that's a I
Right.
think one of my favorite songs of his. But it's a story as far as I know. I don't know if it's a true life or whatever. But for me personally, like the way that I write it, a lot of the things are things I've lived. So, and I've lived a lot of rough rough times. We lost our first baby. My brother-in-law actually just a few weeks ago killed himself, and my dad suffered from schizophrenia for many years of his life. He tried to commit suicide when he was a young man. Um, on my honeymoon, my uncle died in a car accident. He struggled with addiction to. That's when the opioid crisis was going really strong in Eastern Kentucky. So a lot of my songs are about suicide and death and drug addiction, and they're
Real
things
stuff.
that I've actually experienced and I've actually lived out. And uh, this has been the way that I've dealt with it, is writing those songs. So like this first album, Sad Songs from Sandy Hook, was kind of more about growing up in Sandy Hook, but the stuff that's coming out after this will be more detailed on, like, there's a song about my baby that passed away. There's a song about my dad going up on a hill to kill himself, but um, he ended up making it off there because some hunters found him and they got him and got his stomach pumped, and he let it alone and had me.
Hmm.
So just wrote a song about my on my Facebook. You can actually watch it now. It's out there. A song that I wrote right after Reed had committed suicide, and this was out of nowhere just a few weeks ago. Just that's we're in the process of planning that in May to go up to his funeral, and um, I don't know why all these things have happened, but they have. I have. I've been able to deal with it healthy because of music. Music has given me a solace and an ability to get through it that I don't know how I would have ever did it without it.
Yeah.
And
Uh,
it's given me some beautiful music, but it's also it's been lived to get there. So
I'm sure a lot of people have that as far as just the music to lean on, no matter if you're a listener or a writer or whatever the case is. It can you can usually find what you want to in music, whether it's you know similarities of what you're going through, or try to make the bad days better, or whatever the case is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm.
Um, this is more, I guess, a little bit more technical, but are you melody first, sit down with the guitar, or are you lyrics and then kind of work it backward? Or I hate to say work it backwards, but there's different approaches.
I'm definitely start. It's really kind of like I literally just pick up the guitar, I strum whatever starts coming out. I'll pick a key and just start, and then I'll just start writing a song from that. But almost every song that I've written has been like that. I can't think of one song that I just wrote the lyrics out and then went back and did all the
Right.
stuff. It was like I
Mm.
came up with then the melody came from the chords. So the melody I didn't even have either. I just
Right.
started playing chords and then start come up with a melody over top of that, and then the song comes out of it. Sometimes I'll sit down with a guitar and I'm like, I want to write a song about this, but it's always the same process. Start playing. Occasionally, I might come up with a riff and then I'll write a song from a riff, but
Right.
it's always the guitar first, typically, for
Do
me.
you try to make a point to sit down a certain amount of time, or just when life lets you?
It used to be, it used to be that I had to do that, but now I've since moving back home, and I don't know what happened. I know that my psyche is a lot. I've really been working on myself and my spiritual walk and my mental health, and so these songs have really been poured out. This Sad Songs of Sandy
Mm.
Hook, those songs were all pretty much written after moving back home. So there's one song that I wrote in Minnesota called "Sound of a Heart," which was about the time like 3 or 4 people that I loved committed suicide like all at once, and that's what that song's about. But everything else was written after. And since I moved home, I'm writing 2 or 3 songs um, a, a, probably a week. And there's two things. There's also that it's part of my healing journey, but there's also I spent many years and I kind of glazed over this in the church and was hurt pretty badly in the church. Our entire family was hurt in the church. Just a lot of just uh, not so nice people. And so, but when I was in the church, I was in a lot of like really fundamentalist type churches that were like, you have to write songs for God or you can't do anything else. And so
Right.
I would feel bad. So when I mentioned I was in a band up north in the Twin Cities, I was playing bars, and my mom would call me up every week and be like, Jonathan, you got to stop. You got to stop playing those bars. You got to get back in church and doing music for the Lord, and all that stuff. And so I felt really bad. So the move to Kansas City and going back into church was me trying to like please my parents and do the right thing. And I was writing a lot of songs that might have been okay, but they really weren't real.
They weren't you.
No, it was like I'm trying to write songs for a congregation or trying to write songs to appease whatever, because it's very specific of what Christian music want. They don't Christian music today, not to talk bad on anything, but a lot of it is make it simple, make it easy to sing, make it congregational. Don't put too much into it because you don't want to lose people. And there are some guys that aren't doing, and gals that aren't doing that. But if you want to be one of the big guys, that's what you have to do. And so, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, ironically, not horribly different than what the approach is on the radio today.
That's exactly it. It's literally the same. It's the same world. And a lot of times it's the same people, especially out of Nashville. A lot of those Nashville guys are writing for secular, and they're also writing for Christian radio, both. I can name some names, I'm not going to, but they're a lot of them the same sort of circle. So anyway.
When you moved back home, I didn't know a whole lot about that community as far as music was until the podcast. And
Sure.
you know how it is. You meet one person, and that opens doors to three more people, and then it just keeps multiplying. When you moved back to Kentucky, did you start gigging out pretty quickly? How did you, I guess, kind of get involved in that world?
Sure. Well, I'll go back to the Keith. I didn't want to touch on Keith earlier because I know you're gonna ask those questions. So I didn't want to. Keith is huge part of why I'm doing what I'm doing. Keith's family and my family kind of grew up together. My dad actually got in a fight with Keith Whitley. This is a true story. He got in a fist fight. I always embellish it whenever we're on stage, and I always say my dad like Keith said, Bill, just let me live to see another day, and I'll be with the greatest country legend ever. And my dad relented. I always tell that it's not true, but he did get in a fight over some girl, and so my dad always had issues with Keith. Even as Keith got bigger, it just kind of pissed my dad off even more. It's hilarious, but his brother Dwight. Actually, the first show we did is Moonlight Mile. We were doing a benefit for a Keith Whitley scholarship for Dwight and Flo. Flo does the LA County paper, and she puts us in the paper all the time, and so. The very first show I attended, I always say I attended it. I was on my front porch at Sandy Hook, and Keith was playing the Tobacco Festival this year. This is before he blew up, but I remember in the early '80s, standing on my front porch hearing Keith Whitley, playing at the Tobacco Festival. My parents were really religious, so we didn't go to the Tobacco Festival at night because that's when the parties would happen. But I remember sitting on my front porch and hearing that, and so. Stanley Brothers were hugely influential as a young man, and I was into grunge and Nirvana and all those things too. But the Stanley Brothers, they kind of started becoming a bridge as some of these new bands have come out. It's like a bridge between that grunge alternative world and that old bluegrass world that kind of came together and a lot of artists. And so, I love it. It's exactly where I've always wanted to be. So.
So when you got back to home, you started playing out, or how long has that been going on?
I guess I never answered your question.
Yeah, that's okay.
I never answered Soul Grave either, so you're fine.
I was just making sure. You're just making sure I paid attention. I paid attention.
I'm glad you did because I lose myself sometimes.
That's okay.
From there, that was the first show, and then we just started the guy that was in my band, God bless you, Shane, if you're listening. I was doing I had booked all the shows. I put in all the time. I was calling all the places, and I just went literally on Facebook and just started messaging every local place that I possibly could. I've never had a booking agent, and we've opened for the Band of Heathens. We've opened for. We've shared the stage with Dwight Yoakam and all sorts of different people, and it's just been me just like going after it, like messaging. I'm hoping soon I'm getting a booker, but as of right now, the last, since 2020, I've just been, I can't even tell you how I did it. I guess be annoying enough until people respond to you, and then you meet people. Then once you get out, you can meet so and so and so and so, and
Makes a
then
huge difference, right?
yeah, it's all networking.
Gotta get
Well,
your foot in the door.
one of the cool things about having these things live is different people roll through, and there's another Kentucky fellow that just said he loves your work, and that's Mr. Joe Clark. He's in the chat on
Oh,
TikTok. So
I love you, brother.
yeah, I figured y'all knew each other.
Yeah.
Uh, but so that stuff like that's cool. So if you're listening to this thing, check us out live so you can see those moments when they happen and ask questions. So if anybody in the chat on either place has a question for Moonlight Mile and Jonathan, yeah.
Well, and speaking of friends of the podcast, I saw you're playing, I think Friday with Lance. Is that right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Lance
pop-up
Rogers.
show. We
That's
did a
exciting.
pop-up show. Yeah, Lance messaged me, or I messaged Lance. I was trying to. He does a singer-songwriter thing, the Bluegrass Barrel House, and I reached out to him again and said, hey, when you get a show, I'd like to do it again. And he's like, well, are you busy this Friday? And I said no, I'm not. I had some stuff scheduled, but with the funeral stuff, we had canceled some things, and now I'm not, funeral's not happening till May, so I was like, yes, dude, let's do it. And so
Okay.
he came up with the idea of making it around. So like we're gonna both sit on stage for the 3 hours, and we're just gonna take turns and just do songs we've written. Lance is like myself; he writes all the time, and so he has a ton of stuff that's never been released, and I got a ton of stuff that's never been released. So it should be a really, I'm actually excited about it because I love this sort of stuff. I don't get to do it very often, so we're just gonna go back and forth one song each, like trading off songs and do that for 3 hours in Madison and Indiana. So
Well, I wish we could be there because I know both Soulgrave and I would enjoy that. But if you're anywhere near Madison, get out there on Friday night, folks. Also, one of the things that you do that I really appreciate, and I don't know, as a fan, you do a great job of updating your bands in town. And one of the things that I noticed is you put the podcast that you're going to be on there as well. So you're interviewing with our buddies at Western Grunge here next month, and I didn't know about it. So that was super cool to hear that, and thank you for
Hmm.
doing that. I know there's only so many hours in the day to update all those things, but uh, continue to do that, please.
Hunter, I appreciate you saying that because I feel like if you all are pushing us, then we need to be pushing you. And so I even try to like make posts about everything I'm going to be doing on top of the bands in town. Just it
Yep.
just to me it just comes with it. And so and Western Grunge, yeah, they're kind of surprised they're going to be helping with the release of this. So we're gonna be on their podcast and doing some stuff with them. Brennan's just been an awesome guy. I've gotten to know him, and so I'm excited about working with him. So
Yeah, they're great dudes. I can't say enough
yeah,
good things about them. So
yeah.
Yeah.
super cool.
So as far as Lance is concerned, Lance guest hosted an episode of this thing, uh, and he's got his own podcast and everything. But I don't know Lance extremely well, but just we had a phone conversation, that 30-45 minute conversation. But one of the things that stood out to me is he seems to, I don't know if he does this consciously or not, but he always, like your show you were talking about, just doing that round instead of just dividing it up, being up there on stage so you can bounce it. He seems to always be thinking of something different.
Yep,
You know,
that's Lance.
like I kind of said, I was like, it would be really cool to be able to, have and somehow have artists, in my area, and things like that. And he was like, why not try to combine the podcast with that, like
That's it.
interview him before the show? And I'm like, that's a damn genius idea, Lance. You know what I mean? Why didn't I think of that?
Right?
So, it just seems to be natural with him,
It
which is
is.
really cool.
And Lance is the type of guy that everybody likes too. I don't know anybody that doesn't like Lance Rogers. He's in
Very
the
cool.
community. Everybody knows him, and me and Lance go like he was from the early days of Moonlight Mile because he was out before me. I don't know how long. I think maybe it was a couple years. Maybe I think he might have been before COVID, but I met him pretty early on, and he's been good to us since the very beginning. We got to open for him early on, and so we've been me and him been pretty close friends. And when I get gigs, I try to get it for him, and vice versa. So
That's
he's
cool.
going to be we're going to be doing with Hollerhead. We're going to be doing a show in Tennessee at Hop Springs coming up with Justin Bowman. So that's going to be this summer too. So
That
I'm
sounds
excited
All right.
good.
about that.
Well, I think we
Yeah,
are approaching halftime. So, Soul Gravy, you got something for us?
I do. You want to give us a little rundown on the song we're about to play?
Absolutely. This is it's a public domain song, but it's definitely a cover of an old song that was written. Ralph Stanley made it a huge song with the Old Brother Where Art Thou soundtrack, and um, this is a song that I actually sung it. I mentioned earlier my uncle passed away. He kind of had a long stand with drug addiction, and I used to hang out with him a lot whenever he would be on chemicals, and I many times he would say, "You got to promise me, bub, whenever if I pass, that you would sing 'Oh Death' at my funeral." And so I did. I got up and sung that song at his funeral, and it was real haunting. Everybody afterwards, people were like, "My gosh, that was so." It was really a powerful moment, and so I wanted to add it to the album because it was a big part of that whole process. And sad songs in Sandy Hook, that's exactly what it is. It's all about the sad songs and the moments, and that song was definitely instrumental moment of in growing up. So
All right. Here we go.
Nobody's heard this yet. So big
Yeah, yeah.
big deal for us. Yeah.
This version of "Oh Death" is not released, by the way. It is coming out. When is the album dropping?
April 18th, it'll drop with this and another song. There's going to be two new songs that'll come out on April 18th.
All right. Very cool. Very cool. All right. Here we go.
Well, what is this that I can't see? With ice cold hands taking hold of me. Well, I am deaf, none can excel. I'll open the door to heaven or hell. Oh, dare someone would pray. Could you wait to call me another day? The children prayed, the preacher preached. Time and mercy is out of your reach. Oh, death. Oh, death. Would you spare me over till another year? I'll fix your feet, you can't walk. I'll lock your jaw till you can't talk. I'll close your eyes so you can't see. This very hour come and go. Oh, death, please consider my age. Please don't take me at this stage. My wealth is all at your command. If you and move your icy hand, oh, damn, oh, damn, won't you spare me over till another year? Won't you spare me over till another year? Won't you spare me over till another year?
Holy shit.
Yeah, man. That's
Yeah.
I mean, a tough song to tackle as far as, one's just such a legendary song, and then everybody, has done it because of that
Right.
reason. And just to come at it from a total different angle like that, congratulations on that, man.
Thanks. That's a lot of Tony Ray. Tony's just a killer guy, and the one thing. So we were going to be working with Pine Castle, and long story short, it didn't work out. But that's how I met Tony, and Tony basically said, "I'll take it on." And you know, in the bluegrass world, there's a lot of stipulations on how they want everything done. There's not a lot of freedom, to say the least. Everything is pretty much, this is the way you do bluegrass music. This is the way bluegrass music goes. And of course, I'm not a traditionalist of any kind, and Tony isn't either. But he didn't really have the ability to do that so much in a lot of the stuff that comes through the chain. And so he's
Understand?
like, as long as I get, he's like, if you can give me, the ability to kind. I said, dude, I trust you. Let's go. Let's do it. And so that we do it a lot out of the box sort of things like this, and so that's what the album became. But Tony's a big part of it, so props to him.
Yeah, and as a creative person, that's probably all he wanted to hear is that I can be creative. So,
That's it. That was it, and that's the way I wanted it to be. I heard all this stuff, and he's just phenomenal. He's made my voice sound like I'm really particular about the way my voice sounds in the mix, and so he's just been, to me, the best I've ever had as far as making my voice sound like I want it to be heard in an album. So I'm really proud of it.
The soundscape. So I'm a big fan of. They don't necessarily have to be big, huge sounds. That was pretty big sound, but
Yeah.
I do really enjoy. I don't know if you call it experimentation or whatever, but just having some new and different kind of aspects in that soundscape. I think uh, fits for what I like. So I don't really care about anybody else, but I
Right.
dig it.
Well, I appreciate that.
Yeah, you bet.
Uh, this first album, we wanted it to be more bluegrass because the band was more bluegrass at that time, and so the next album will be more like psychedelic rock and within the bounds of Americana and calling it Appalachian grunge. So it'll be a little mix of all that. So there'll be more electric guitars. My son will be on drums, and so it's going to transition to that from this. But I'm kind of looking at each album and making them more kind of a concept sort of a deal. That's just kind of the way the songs came to me, and that's how I'm trying to put it together, is more concept sort of album sort of stuff. And that I'm a 70s rock guy, so Pink Floyd
Yeah,
and stuff like that
yeah, I'm
is
with you.
where I'm from. So
So if you said this, I'm sorry, but you said April 18th was the release for the album, correct? So the whole
yes,
whole
correct.
album's coming out on the 18th. Will we see
Oh,
something before then, or
essentially all of the songs that are already studio are already out there as singles, so those will all be on this album.
okay?
And then this new song will be on there, and also there'll be an updated version of Honey, that's more kind of really stripped down, more straight ahead bluegrass, and that's going to be coming out along. So those two songs will be the
Okay,
two that'll come out with it.
fantastic. And then for the folks that haven't seen your full band live show, how would you describe that?
It's completely different than the studio stuff I have out. We're that Oh Death, we do it completely like psychedelic rock. So it's like I'm not really hitting a lot of those low notes. I'm pretty much up of like, we're playing that, and then we're doing like psychedelic guitar parts behind that and drum parts. We opened up for a band of heathens with that song, and the place went insane. It was one of our best shows, and
They're like,
so
hey,
it's
pipe
it's
down, guys, a little bit.
yeah. Right, right. It was a cool experience, and I so it's kind of like we're trying to bridge that gap because I still want to hold on to that the whole Appalachian aspect of what we do, and I can't hide it's in my voice, so it's you know I've heard people say I don't sound anything like Tyler Childers in my opinion, but people will say that because they don't know what to call that holler that
Yeah.
thing that Appalachian people do, and so they'll be like, oh, you can't hear Tyler Childers. Like, no, please, I'm not. I love Tyler, huge Tyler fan, but
It's
I
different.
don't want to. Right, but it's that Appalachian sort of holler thing that we grow up in because all of the churches here. That's the way that they sing, and that's the old times, and it kind of comes out and it in it. So
Yeah.
and we mentioned those two worlds. So our sound live is going to be a mix of that with some bluegrass traditional stuff in there as well. So kind of both of those two worlds.
Okay. Looking forward to it.
Was there I mean, if there wasn't, it's okay. But I'm just curious. You know, when you kind of started doing your thing after moving back to Kentucky and all that, was there anybody around that kind of showed you like you can be outside of this box, or did you just
No,
kind of step out and see what happened?
I kept running into walls. So so like here's what I thought. This is my thought. Oh, I'm gonna go and take this rock thing, and I'm gonna take it back home and like play some of these bluegrass shows because like nobody's doing that. And I found out real quick why nobody's doing it because they won't let you do it. So there's a guy that he's probably not listening to me, but I'm not going to say any names or anything. But I literally messaged him today. I was like, hey, so can we get on that festival this year? How about it? We've been trying last like 5 years to get in, and he's like, oh, we're already booked. And I'm like, okay, well that's great, but how about next year or the year after? So yeah, I mentioned earlier like being annoying. Uh, Sometimes I do it just to have fun because I know he's never going to let me on because he's such a traditional bluegrasser that like it was so they just will not even allow it no matter how well you're doing, how much attention you're getting, they just won't let you into their festival because you aren't that traditional bluegrass guy. So real quick, I found out that if I wanted to play, I'm gonna have to play in bars and have to play in festivals and things outside of the bluegrass world. So I quickly left bluegrass because there wasn't going to be any continuation there. So
Right.
at least where I was at in Eastern Kentucky, that's there's a lot of difference outside of our area, but we're so bluegrass world that it's so traditional that it was it didn't work out for as well as I'd planned that it would. So
Well, I did see that you are going to be on some festivals this I guess late summer, early fall, um,
yes,
different ones. But what one of the things that stood out is one Lance is going to be on some of them with you. Low Water Bridge band, which is super cool guys. Bill Taylor. All
yep.
these are friends, homies of the podcast. So it makes me feel good that you know I'm talking to the right people.
Picking in the backwoods, man. It's a credible festival. Howdy Jet and the guys at Duke's Indy put that on, and we're super excited for that one. That's going to be a really and if anybody is close and can come out, like it's like 2 or 3 days, and everybody just camps out, and what I've been told is the night jams are as good, if not better, than the show itself. So I'm really excited for that. So if you
Yeah,
guys
there's
like night
there's
jams,
nothing wrong with the big festivals that that get the major headlines, but the ones like that, and others we've talked about, just the openness, where there's not much difference between the front of the stage and the back of the stage. There's really nothing like that if you're a music fan, and like you said,
yeah.
when you never know how those late night fire jams will go, and just people getting to hang out. Like it's really cool. What the musicians and the fans. So
For those people out there that talking about so and so blowing up and so and so blowing up. I mean, the guy that was in my band played mandolin for us. I mean, he said I remember at Poppy Mountain. Poppy Mountain's a bluegrass festival we have pretty close here, and just the county over. And he's like, I remember Chris Stapleton was just a guy coming and just like playing, like at the night jams, And that's the thing is like could have seen Chris Stapleton for a lot cheaper than you can see him now, if you come to these shows. So.
and there's a ton of them. They're all over the
Yes.
place.
Folks say this the same thing when Soul Gravy comes into the bar. So
Oh yeah, definitely.
similar kind of feel.
You could have seen me for $5, and you can still see me for $5.
Just for now. It's just
for now.
come do it now
Just
while
for
you
now.
can, people.
Yep, for sure.
While people, just for now, while bars still have bands. Never know when that'll dry up. So.
I've got time to slide in one more question
Go
before
ahead.
the rapid fire, and then we have a really important last question of the evening for you, Jonathan. So y'all stick around. I know you've been here for 45 minutes, folks, so stick around for the last 15. I promise it'll be better. All right, so social media. We actually don't talk about social media very often on the podcast, but you've talked a little bit about it. Can you tell us a little bit about your approach and kind of how you go about whether it's daily, weekly, kind of figuring out what direction you're going to go? We all need tips.
I've really kind of, to be honest, like it's been an evolution, to say the least. So, when we first started out the band, I literally there's a group called Fat Cave Studios that's really close to where I'm from, and how we kind of got started was I asked them if they would come out and record a few videos. We paid them a very small fee, and they came out and recorded us, and I threw those on TikTok, and those songs got a little bit of attention locally, and that's what opened the doors to us to get to play in the bars, because I was sending all these messages to bars, and they'd just be like, never even respond. But once we started putting these videos with it, they started listening. So I learned that on my own just by like, let's do this and see how. And so a lot of it's been completely DIY, like everything that I did. Then we finally got connected with Radio WV, and we put a couple, 2 or 3 songs on Radio WV. From that, I was also the guy who used to do Radio WV, then did Appalachia Untold, and I was friends with him, and so we did some videos with them. So the videos were at least at that point. Things after COVID has been a little bit different, so it's the videos are, you get on certain channels, it helps, but
Sure.
but that definitely was a big help for us. And then outside of that, on my individual social media accounts, it's all about the different worlds. So your Facebook world is more your older individuals, so you have a certain presence on your Facebook world, and then you have another presence on TikTok. So I have 2 channels on TikTok. One that's like I've lost like 80, I think I'm at 87 pounds in the last year. Thank you. And so I have a channel that's all about weight loss and also just human rights things that I'm a big proponent of, and so that's kind of like my soapbox. But then I also have just started another TikTok. It's just Moonlight Mile music, and so it's just me putting up. I did a really good job of uploading every single day, but I'm not as I messed up the last weekend.
It's tricky.
But
It's tricky.
it is.
So it's
So
at Moonlight Mile, is that correct?
yeah, it's going to be TikTok is Moonlight Mile Band, I think. I'm getting ready to put it back to Moonlight Mile KY, but it is Moonlight Mile Band at the moment.
Okay.
We have a website, we have a link tree, and then Instagram again is a whole nother ball of wax of how you have to put it. I mean, everything has its own way that you have to put it up that way to fit with that group and those people that are on those apps. And then even those things seem to be changing daily. Like I'll have people say, you need to be posting 3 or 4 times a day. Then I'll also have people say, no, you just want to post like every 2 or 3 days. It's like it changes almost every time I talk to somebody different. So I don't know what the answer is.
Nobody knows.
No.
I
No.
mean, maybe
really
somebody does, but we don't know.
And I think even those people are dancing.
It seems
Right.
like people in the business or musicians and things like that. They like Instagram for as far as communication. Like that really seems to be the go-to for that for whatever reason.
It
And I'm
seems
late
to
to the
have
party on
more.
that.
It seems to have more, like, if you have better numbers on your Instagram, it looks better than anything else. Because I mean, I know people that have blown up on TikTok, and it's like it helps some, but it's not like a huge. And I've also had, like, Facebook. I think our Radio WV video got like 25, 20, 250,000 or something like that. But it's Facebook, so Facebook doesn't matter as much as what a YouTube video would blowing up or an Instagram video going up. I don't.
That's weird.
And I don't know who makes that decision, but it
They don't
does make a
just
difference.
like you don't know the rules of how and when to
No,
post. They don't know either. So,
no, that's it.
uh,
Alrighty. Well, I think we are ready for a little rapid fire, and these are all pretty easy except for the first one. So apologize. Desert Island album. You get to take one album with you. Good news, bad news. You're on a desert island, but you can't leave.
Oh
I
man,
don't like this one.
oh, I wish I was primed for this. Give me just a second to think. Gosh, Desert Island album. Listen to over and over and over again. Uh, I'm gonna go with, because it always is the one I always go back to, and that would be Dark Side of the Moon.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
there's I've owned, like, on CD. I think I've owned it like 4 or 5 times because I always like lose it and like buy another one at Walmart. And I still listen to CDs. I have no car, so I think I bought, like, I find another one laying around all the time. It's always the one that I always go back to because no matter how, like, I can always put that album on and still enjoy it.
That's a great answer, and I think maybe we should change the question to what album have you bought multiple times? Because that would be easier to answer than Desert
that's a,
Island. It's intimidating. So,
Yeah.
all right, dinner
well,
with
that
one.
could be its own individual question.
That's right. Uh, dinner with one historical figure.
Oh. Oh man. Like, you want to say somebody that, like, really like it, but then you also are like
Who'd be
John
fun?
Lennon. I think John Lennon. I would
Okay,
like to meet John Lennon.
I got
We've
some
had,
questions for him,
yeah.
so that'd be good. Yeah. Um,
Yeah.
ideal green room.
Whew, ideal green room. I'm not one of those that really care too much about that sort of thing. I'm the guy that's like, get the show and move on down the road. I'm not like, I like to talk in situations like this, but when there's a lot of people around, I'm more like, I'd just rather be home with the kids. I got 5 kids, and I've been married for 20 years, and so I'm like, go back home where it's quiet and hang out with my kids. So um, green rooms are, it just, as long as there's a place to sit and get away from people, I'm not too picky about that.
Good answer.
But
All right, first concert that you attended, and then the first concert that you paid your own money to go see.
okay, first concert I attended, earlier. I told you that the Keith Whitley was probably the first time, my first memory anyway of music. But as something I actually paid for, I was trying to remember back. I probably was a blue. It's probably Ralph Stanley. I think that would probably have been. It was like late '90s. I think I seen Ralph Stanley at a little place in Eastern Kentucky, and I think my parents took me to see that. So it'd probably be him.
Was Keith playing with them at the time, or had he already?
No, this is
No.
this is long after. Yeah,
Okay. All right.
I think Keith passed. I think I was elementary school, so I don't. It's been way back.
Okay.
This would have been like late '90s or something like that.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right. Sorry, I missed that.
Yeah.
All right. We had some comments in one of the channels about, man, that song should be on a soundtrack. What if you could pick a soundtrack, or if you could pick a movie or TV show for one of your songs to be on, what would you choose?
Man, just because I've been watching the crap out of it, I don't know how well I'd fit, but Righteous Gemstones is like my favorite show right now.
Oh,
Oh my God.
we just
If I could get Daddy McBride just to put me as an extra or something, like, I mean, that would be like, that would be bucket list. I love that show with everything in me. So,
it's a beautiful thing. All right.
Very cool.
Yeah, very exciting. All right. Sad song. I say the word sad song. What first comes to your mind?
Sad song. Oh God, there's so many. Uh, all of them are ones I've written though. That's going to sound egotistical of me, but they're like they're so
Heroin.
probably. No, that's not even that. I mean, that's actually a less
Not
sad
as
song.
sad.
It's a really sad song, but it's like I got so many sad. I would probably know "Heroes" is the one that we're it's going to be on the new album. It's the song about my dad. And it's like I literally felt like I was after it was over with. I felt like Dad was speaking through this because my dad died really suddenly, and I didn't really get to. I was living in Nebraska. Um, sound of in this album, the very first track, Appalachia, opens up with my mom's voicemail that my mom called to let me know that my dad had passed away. And so that very first, if you listen to Appalachia and when it opens up, that's my mom's voicemail she left, and that's how I found out my dad died. So then I had to call mom back. And the last track is called 34 Seconds, and that's actually a new track too. And it's my dad's last voicemail he left me. So that's what that's about. But No Heroes is going to be on the second album, and it's I felt like I was speaking, like Dad was just kind of giving me a story, and I had played it first time at this competition, and I won because it's such a it. I say the song. I feel like it was more the song why I won than anything because it's a really heavy song. And the lady that helped vote for me, she came up to me afterwards. She's like, said, I honestly felt like you were singing a song for like somebody, like you were speaking for them, and I didn't even tell them that, but like
Right.
I kind of felt like that was like Dad saying, this is, but it's like my dad's like life. His dad was abusive, and his mom and to him, and he was an alcoholic, and my grandfather who actually committed suicide too. And I laugh because it's like I have
Real
so
feel good,
many.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's like so many situations like that, and this was like Dad had just, he was really sick. He was hearing voices like crazy, and this was early days of schizophrenia when the medicine wasn't great, and so he just didn't want to do it anymore. And so that's what the song's about.
All right. Well, we'll lighten it up here a bit. Tribute.
You got me on, man. It's gonna get sad every time. I'm
No, you're
telling
good. You're
you.
good. Uh,
Ever
tribute
heard the
band.
elephant song?
Oh, yeah.
You say? I mentioned
Right.
that earlier.
Oh no.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a good one, Soul. Um,
See, I pay
tri-
attention.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Tribute bands, yay or nay?
No, I
No. All right.
not at all. No, zero,
Not
absolutely
sad
not.
enough.
No, I'm not saying that. Even there's a Nirvana one that comes by the Burl every little bit in Lexington. I'm sure they're
Probably
sad,
sell the
but
place out.
probably do.
Yeah,
Probably
right.
make a lot more than I ever do when I play
Yeah,
there.
it is what it is. All right. Well, we'll lighten it up even further with this last question.
Okay.
All right. Well, now since you mentioned your weight loss TikTok channel, this question is a little more of an asshole kind of question, but we have to
Go
carry
for it.
on the
I love it.
conversation.
I love it. Do it.
All right, here we go. All right, this question started out as a joke on episode one, and it's still going to this day. And even on someone that's trying to lose a lot of weight, we still gotta ask the question.
Take a minute, Soul.
Jonathan, what is your favorite Little Debbie snack?
Oh God. Oliver. I don't even like fudge rounds. But I would have to. Oh, what do I even when I do have one? I would say. See, I have to buy for my kids. So like my favorite snack is sometimes like I have to buy their favorite snack, and then if there's any left, I might get one of them. So,
That's right.
uh, Nutty Bar probably Nutty Bar. I like Nutty
Solid
Bars.
pick.
The Nutty
Yeah,
Buddy. All right.
I
yeah,
think
yeah.
Nutty Buddy was that 4 or 5 for you,
Yeah,
sir?
I think it was
Somewhere in there.
five, four. It was four
All right.
because oatmeal cream pie was five. Right in the
Well,
middle.
we want to respect everybody's time, but we appreciate you all taking time to. Jonathan, we appreciate you taking time to chat with us tonight. Hour flew by, had a great time, and
Mhm.
Yeah.
thank you
Same.
all for joining on YouTube, TikTok, and Facebook. Saw your comments. We appreciate it. If you
Mhm.
want to do some good, Give the Texas to Tennessee podcast a subscribe. And while you're there, go find our friends at Moonlight Mile and give them a follow. I'm sure they'd love to have you follow along on their journey. So,
Please.
yep. Appreciate your time. Thanks so much. Thanks, Soul Gravy.
All right, we'll see you.